washing. Professional people, equipment, and results.
It started way back when at our kitchen table. We were trying to look for things to do as extra income because we had 2 kids in braces and 2 kids in college. And we just put our heads together and figured out what we could do on the side in addition to our regular jobs. And it was really that for about 3 years. It was just side work after work and on weekends.
We had we had a credit card to Lowe's with a $1,000 limit, and after we decided we was going to start a power washing company, we went to Lowe's with our credit card. We was living paycheck to paycheck, and we bought a consumer grade power washer, and had no idea what to do. We had a 50-foot hose, so we was dragging the power washer 50 foot behind us whenever we'd wash someone's home, and had no idea exactly what we was going to do, or exactly what we was doing. We knew we could get the houses clean, and that's what we did. But over the years, our process has obviously evolved into what it is today. But that's how we started, with just a consumer grade power washer that we bought at Lowe's with a $1,000 credit card.
We used to lift the thing in and out of the back of a pickup truck, me and Rick, every day before we'd go out, after we'd get home. We couldn't leave it in the back of the truck because we'd had some stuff stolen out of the back of the truck, so we had to lock it up every night. We really had a 20 by 20 garage that we were just turning into a makeshift place to do business out of. And in the wintertime, when it would be too cold, we would lug that thing down in the basement. We'd bring everything that we owned equipment-wise and put it down in the basement so that it wouldn't freeze, because we didn't want to have to run antifreeze through it. So that's basically what we did.
At the end of our first season, we had a notepad, a little notepad that would fit in your front shirt pocket, and we went through and made a list of all our customers, and from memory, because we had so few customers, we could remember every one of them by name and the amount they paid. And that very first year, I think we grossed $10,000. And I remember telling Donna, I worked really, really hard for this $10,000. We're either going to do something different, or I'm not going to do this.
Right. It was bad.
When we sat down at our table and realized that we had made $10,000, and it really wasn't worth the effort that we put in, and it really didn't cover the expenses that we had put out, I knew that I had to do something different. And then the following year, we ramped it up. I think the following year, we thought we're still working a full-time job. Following year, I think we did $17,000, something like that. And we were starting to see, hey, this can be a viable business.
Yeah.
And then the third year is when I quit my job and started doing it full time.
Yeah. We started doing a lot of marketing pieces that second year. We started sending postcards, buying zip code lists, and targeting different markets, different ages, and we started just doing direct mails. And then we would get calls in, and we would get about 1 or 2% of all those call-ins. We would actually turn those into jobs that we worked.
After church on Sundays, myself and my daughter Haley would canvass the neighborhoods on the west side of Springfield, knocking on doors and passing out flyers. Most of the time we were greeted, pleasantly, but sometimes people just didn't want to be bothered. And Haley got so sick of knocking. She would always say, do we have to pass out flyers this Sunday?
Yeah. I take care of all the financial stuff, accounts payable, accounts receivable, invoicing, payroll. I do all the office stuff, all the behind the scenes stuff. I do some of the over the phone estimating and scheduling. I do not go to the job sites anymore and do any of the estimating. I used to, but I don't have time to. I'm just bogged down with the office work now. So he does all of the footwork and the groundwork and going to the places that he has to go to for appointments.
I run all the crews. I hire and fire all the guys. I do all the estimating, and we do jobs from $200 minimum, which is our minimum, all the way up. Our largest job we've done to date is $250,000. So I do all the estimating for all those jobs. And then I run the crews. I deal with the general contractors. I deal with the customers, And occasionally when we hire subcontractors, I deal with the subcontractors also.
We don't do that much though.
We don't hire
really
subs
don't.
very much.
Not much. Once in a great while. I also do all the famous bid packets. Those are a lot of fun, like 50 pages. They have to be turned in at a certain time, and you can't be a minute late, and that's always a great deal of fun.
She says she handles all the financials, but one part of financials she doesn't handle that she makes me handle is collections.
Yeah.
When we first started, we were a painting and power washing contractor, and one of the things, a horror story that happened is one of the very first jobs I got in painting the complete interior of a home. I had a helper, and we were coming down the stairway painting the steps, and he kicked over a bucket of paint, and it went all the way down, and I was like, well, there goes this job. And right then the homeowner walks in and says, when are you guys going to be done painting? I got a schedule for the new carpet to get laid.
Oh,
And I was like, yes.
yeah. Thank
It
God.
was literally right at that time, at the exact same time. So that was one of the horror stories. But there's others. I'm sure there's others. But do you have any? What have we learned over
I don't have
14
horror
years?
stories. I think dealing with employees are probably the worst part of owning a business. But when I say that, I also will follow that up with our employees are assets to us. We are only as good as our employees. And so we value them. They are very important to us. We know that we are a small company. We don't have a whole lot to offer, but we do try to make it fun. We try to make it an okay place to work. We try to add some fun things in there like bowling trips, picnics, Christmas party, that kind of stuff. But our employees become like family to us, honestly. And so when things aren't working out, it's hard to cut that tie if it's not something that's going in the direction that you want it to go to, because you become personally involved with each person. That part for me is hard because I get personally attached to everybody that walks through our door that works for us.
I remember one employee in particular, and I'm still good friends with him, but it came to the point where I had to let him go, and it shook me bad enough that I considered just going out of business, because I didn't know that I wanted to do that to another human. However, it had to be done. I mean, I stood by my decision. It was the correct decision. We've got a great group of employees now, as Donna said, that they all know me pretty well. They know that if something happens, I had a guy total a truck in the last few years. I had another guy wreck a truck, and they know that I know that accidents happen. And if you're just honest and they break equipment or lose equipment, if they're just honest, we can learn from it. We can move forward. Let's don't do that again. Here's what we're going to do to keep that from happening again. They know that I don't get too upset about things like that. So that's one of the big things that we have really, really improved on over the last few years.
I think something else is we have regular conversations amongst each other daily. And part of our conversations, a big part of our conversations, is strengths and weaknesses. I have strengths, I have weaknesses, so does Rick. Just so happens that I do the part of the business that's my strength and is his weakness, and he does the part of the business that is his strength and my weakness. That's how it works, and that's how it flows the best. But we do that with employees too. We try to find out, what is this employee good at? What can they thrive at? What are they not so good at? And how can we use them in the areas that they thrive in? Because that's where we're going to get the best results out of them and out of our company. There are tons and tons and tons of contractors, fly-by-night contractors, other legitimate contractors, and the fact that our clients will come to us and put their trust in us, that means everything. And so we follow that up with trying to stand behind everything that we do. We do make mistakes. We don't always do everything perfect, but we try to go back and fix things and make things satisfactory. So I would say I'm most proud of our integrity and the fact that we really do stand behind what we say we're going to do, which is, if you're not satisfied, we're going to come back until you are.
I was a high school dropout raised in the inner city of Kansas City. I dropped out of high school and joined the Army, looking for a way in life, and that way wasn't always the right way for years. And then you know, Donna and I sat down, even before Petersburg Power Washing started, we sat down and made goals. We made life goals. What is it that we want to do? What do we want to accomplish? How do we want to raise our daughter? When Donna and I got together, she had 2 daughters, and I adopted the youngest one. So we were raising a daughter together. Haley was my daughter, and what did we want to do? What did we want to do in our life? What is it we're going to do? And we made this list and we wrote it down. And this was before we even sat down and decided to start a business.
Yeah, several years before.
So I'm most proud of where we came. We came work from paycheck to paycheck, and that first year, $1,000 credit card. That first year we made $10,000, and buddy, it was back-breaking work. Loading a power washer in and out of the back of a pickup truck. Didn't have enough hose to reach around a house. Why didn't I have enough hose? Because we couldn't afford to buy it. Sure. And turn that into, we're a viable employee. We're a real employer. Our staff in Springfield, Illinois is usually 8 to 12 people. We have a location in Ohio where we have 2 to 3 people, and we have a location in Kansas City. Right now we just have the one person in Kansas City, but we will be bringing someone else on board in Kansas City. So so I'm most proud of that, and it's all from hard work. None of this is luck, but we are blessed.
Yes.
And
abundantly.
I remember years ago, it was during Harvest Fest in Petersburg, and people were parking, and it was a Saturday morning, and it was beautiful, and people walking by and saying, "Hey Rick, hey Donna, you guys coming down to the beer tent later? There's good bands down there. You coming down?" And what Donna and I were doing was we were washing the bank.
Yeah.
And we were washing the bank, and we was there all day long. Now I have the equipment that it would take me about an hour and a half to wash a bank.
True.
But I didn't have it then. But what I did have is I had the drive, and I knew that I could stop what I was doing, tell the bank that I can't do it this Saturday, and go have fun, or Don and I could continue to build our business together, and that's what we've done. And that's what I'm proud of. It's not a false pride. It's not a look at me kind of a pride. It's more of a I'm proud of the ability that God has given us, the God-given ability. I was an alcoholic with substance abuse problems, and this last year I celebrated 15 years of sobriety, and I don't take that lightly. That's something that's very important to me. Everything in life Donna and I share, but my sobriety belongs to me, and because of that, Donna has been able to benefit from it also, and my kids benefit from it, my grandkids benefit from it. But these things are very, very important to me. And then we have a faith in God that is real. We don't look at God as a catalog. I pray to Him when I want something. We look at God as our Savior, who, even though I was where I was at, He still chose to save me, and He still allowed me to progress and to build this business to what it is today. So we have a real faith in God through Jesus Christ, and that's a very, very large part of our life.
I think the people don't realize part of owning a business is hard work. It's a lot of drive, a lot of stamina, but I think a big part of it is sacrifice. You sacrifice a lot of the fun, a lot of the vacation, a lot of the fun things that couples go out and do. We spent our time behind a wand washing stuff on weekends and nights after we had already worked 40 hours. And so between raising a family, working a full-time job, and then working to build a business after the full-time job, we gave up a lot for a lot of years. I was 40 years old before I ever first flew on a plane, and it was the very first time that I ever saw the ocean, and it was the very first time I'd ever been on vacation, because I had never been on vacation ever until I was 40 years old. Now, 11 years later, I'm telling my age, I go places all the time. I am grateful for the opportunity to be able to go out and experience things that I never in a lifetime ever got to experience. And it's because of long-term payoff. We were at least short-sighted enough to realize that we had to focus on goals long-term. We had to give up short-term things so that someday in the long term we'd be able to have some things that we never got to have before. And although we aren't completely there, we are at a place now where we don't have to worry as much, and we can set aside a savings account, and we can go on vacation every year, and we can take little trips to see our kids and our grandkids. And that, to me, is what it's all about, because it is about those moments. That's what's important to me. That is what I love about things. I'd like to thank everybody for listening to our story, and we would love to have you give us the opportunity to serve you in some way, whether that be an estimate or whether it be doing a job for you.
The jobs that the services that we can provide for you is obviously we do power washing. We're a power washing company, and when I say we power wash, we can power wash anything from your back deck. We've power washed water towers. We've power washed 22-story condominiums in downtown Chicago. So there's no job too big or too small when it comes to washing. And we do air duct cleaning. And then we also do deck staining, power wash and stain decks.
Petersburg Power Washing. Professional people, equipment, and results.